Today's webinar was developed in hopes of pulling together our diverse stakeholders for interactive conversation. We are looking forward to sharing some great resources with you all today, learning what you need from us, and hopefully finding out how we can all come together to build stronger, mutually beneficial relationships that address each of our goals.
All right, so we asked this question when you registered, but would like to know how diverse our group is today in what field you're representing. So this is one of the areas where we can never have too many cooks in the kitchen. We want to have a diverse group at the table. This issue of safety and mobility really crosses so many different fields that it's really important to have this conversation with as many people as we can. So you'll see a list of all of our stakeholder categories. This is how we identify our community partners. I think last year state and local government took the lead, but if you wear multiple hats, feel free to, put on the one that you feel is most important to the issue today. Awesome. Engineers and planners play a huge role in what we do. And we love to see older adults. We actually always include them as a stakeholder category because really they know what issues need to be addressed the best. And so having them at the table is really important for us. And we're actually happy to see that we have a good number from most of our areas. We have at least one from all of our stakeholder categories. So cool. All right.
Excellent.
Well, now that we know a little bit more about you, we're going to get started, and I'm going to turn it over to Gail, who's going to kind of set the stage of why we are here today.
Thanks, Steph. So when FDOT began addressing the needs of our aging road users, it was back in the early 90s, and we were focused on roadway improvements that increased visibility, provided advanced notification, and improved pedestrian features. Many of these changes, including wider pavement markings and advanced street name signs, are now the standard on state and many local roads and benefit people of all ages. As you can see, our current 65 plus population is 20.5%. And just to do a little comparison to the rest of the nation, they are at 17%. And our population is going to continue to grow and is actually projected to grow to 25% by the year 2045. And when we are faced with aging population projections trending upward, DOT knew we needed to take a more proactive and collaborative approach to help improve the safety and mobility of this growing segment of the population. Next slide. All right, so in this slide, we really wanted just to capture, so you can see how our 65 population for the year 2020 breaks down by age group with a comparison to Florida's licensed drivers within the same age group. The numbers shown in the thousands, and the dark blue bar represents population, while the green bar represents licensed drivers. Next slide. All right, so it is a common misconception that older drivers are bad drivers. Crash data shows us otherwise, but it also tells us something about older drivers that is very important, as shown in this graphic. The red line represents fatalities, while the blue line represents crashes. And as you can see, drivers 65 years and older are involved in fewer crashes overall, but they are overrepresented in traffic fatalities. When involved in a crash, they are at a higher risk to suffer a serious injury or death as they get older. So a couple of years, like that's the kind of data we have. I think those are the things that most people are used to, is like kind of those type of data points. But we do more. We want to get more of a bigger picture of this segment of the population. So a couple of years ago, we did a research project with Florida State University to conduct a survey of Florida's aging road users. It's a survey that we repeat. This was like, I think, the second or third time we did it. And as you'll see, you'll learn from us throughout this webinar that we do a lot of this. We ask questions of all of our stakeholders and we learn from people. This is how we are able to, we want to understand how people feel and what they need related to the subject of aging road user safety and mobility before we develop our resources. So this was one of the questions that we asked in the survey that was done in 2020. So if you were no longer able to drive, how easy would it be for you to get to and from the places that you need and want to go. And, we learned from this, from that 51% said that it was not at all easy. And then that even breaks down, we've got some really good data to break it down, how male versus female feel about it, as well as, whether it's in an urban area or in a rural area. So that was something that we, continued to do. And the results of this really allow us to gain a better understanding of why people are driving longer. Next slide. So we wanted to ask you a question, the same question. Before we move on, just kind of getting from you that whole the sense of how do you feel about it.
Yes, I meant to make this a more sliding scale, but it is quite a yes or no question, really. And
Yeah.
the yeses are usually people that are very fortunate, and so and it's not even an option a lot of places. But thinking of not only just your daily routines, but visiting family and friends. Sometimes not a lot of access without that personal vehicle. So where you are in relation to the people that are important to you, to the things that you need to do every day, really can change this answer from age to gender to location. So,
and it's
but I am
good.
happy to see.
It'd be
how
nice
yeses.
to see that number of yeses increase, that they still can, because that means that we're doing what we are set out to do, and we're having even more age-friendly and more livable communities to make that happen.
Absolutely. All right.
Awesome.
Yeses keep coming in, but I'm happy to see that is real for some people.
Yeah. So, all right, now that we've set the stage, let's talk a little bit more about who we are and our approach to helping Floridians achieve safe mobility for life. In 2009, our Safe Mobility for Life program in traffic engineering and operations partnered with the Pepper Institute on Aging and Public Policy of Florida State University to form the statewide Safe Mobility for Life Coalition. Today, our coalition is made up of 30 member organizations, with all members invested in the safety, access, and mobility of Florida's aging population. We have quite a diverse group with support from law enforcement, engineers, higher education, government, and healthcare, along with representation from each of the DOT districts, which does allow us to have that statewide representation. The people behind these logos are dedicated to the goal of the coalition and to eliminating fatalities and serious injuries for Florida's aging road users, while helping them remain active and connected to their communities, whether they're driving or not. The benefit for us to have a very diverse coalition membership is that we can count on them to share their expert insight when developing and distributing our resources and materials. And in addition to their thoughts and feedback, our resources and materials are designed using results of a human factors research project we conducted a few years back, again with Florida State University. Can you tell that's my alma mater? To help us share information and communicate our message with older adults in the most effective way. Now you're going to see more of this approach in action from the resources that Steph is going to talk about in a little bit. So the coalition is guided by a strategic action plan, and which was approved by DOT leadership in April of this year, and builds off existing state plans and initiatives, including Florida's Strategic Highway Safety Plan and the State Plan on Aging. There is a lot of great content, experience, and partnerships in these other plans that we have been able to draw from, and allows us to not only just not to recreate the wheel, and helps us strengthen our goals. Our plan is a total of 6 focus areas, each one with their own goal, objectives, strategies, and team member expertise. I'd like to point out just a few highlights in each of them. So under program management and evaluation, our focus is on implementing the plan using a proactive, data-driven approach, and ensuring that we can measure each of the objectives identified in the plan. We also focus on keeping our coalition members and the agencies they represent engaged as active participants. Community outreach and education helps us form connections with community partners and stakeholders just like you, and allows us to develop and effectively distribute the resources and materials created by each of the focus area teams. The licensing and enforcement team continues to educate and promote resources that will benefit both law enforcement officers and driver licensing personnel at the state and local level. Livable Communities was formerly known as Aging in Place, but in this plan, we incorporated a strategy directly from Florida Strategic Highway Safety Plan into our goal. And the focus area also aligns with the Department of Elder Affairs Livable Florida Initiative and AARP's Age-Friendly Communities, and also can help Vision Zero communities as well. This team also is the backbone of DOT's program and continues to promote design solutions and countermeasures that address our natural age-related changes. The Mobility Independence team was formerly known as Transitioning from Driving, but this change allows us to focus on educating Floridians on how to access and use the various transportation options to help them be prepared to transition when driving is no longer a safe option. And we were very clear, we did not say educating older adults here. We said we're educating Floridians because it's really important that everybody learns how to use other options so they have the choice to change when and if needed. In addition to promoting driver fitness and improving aging road user mobility, the prevention and assessment team often collaborates with the licensing and enforcement team and our partners at Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles to help recognize at-risk drivers. So now we just went over a few of our focus areas, and we're just interested in knowing, just based on that brief explanation, if you would be interested, which of the teams you would be interested in learning more about, and even maybe participating in future webinars with them.
Yes, and you can select all that apply. So if you
Yeah.
have a few areas of interest, you should be able to choose as many as you'd like.
Yep. And that it's not a competition, but we will share with each of the teams.
Yeah. So far I'm winning, so might be a competition
okay.
after all.
I don't take offense to being 7%, the lowest.
I mean,
I don't care.
Outreach is just where all the fun happens,
Yeah,
but all the nuts and bolts is really elsewhere.
I'm not the
So
yeah. I have fun in all of them.
yeah, I know. And really, community outreach, program management are, designed to implement all the work that these other focus areas do. So we
and
are
that's important.
on
That's
the back
why
of giants.
we team together on a lot of it, because there's just program management and community outreach go hand in hand for everything. So, and support the other teams.
And just know that there's a lot of overlap collaboration between these teams, and we definitely use all of our resources, which includes community partners, to help get those goals and objectives across the line. So
awesome.
Appreciate you participating.
Yes. Thank you. So Safe Mobility for Life believes each of these stakeholders, from older adults to engineers, planners, transportation providers, all have shared responsibilities in aging road user safety and mobility. Our plan ensures that our stakeholder needs are met, and that we continue to develop and distribute educational materials and resources that are specific to their needs and will benefit them the most. And I think you'll see that when Steph gets into a lot of those resources. The coalition developed this 3 keys message to instantly let our target audience know that we offer a layered approach to achieving safe mobility for life. It isn't just about encouraging people to stop driving. The 3 keys to achieve safe mobility for life are: understand the impact aging has on driving. And this can include discussing age-related changes that affect driving skills, how prescription and over-the-counter medications could impact driving, and then specific information understanding Florida's ID and licensing requirements. We also want people to be proactive about safe driving skills, and in areas like encouraging and providing assessment tools to support safe driving skills, hosting workshops, and sharing educational materials to encourage safe behaviors. And then planning for a safe transition for driving, our last one there. But it is really that we want to help people be able to build a transportation plan and explore their new options. And also that it's really where we want to have to start conversations about a safe transition in driving, and what does that look like and how can that be done. So it's very important to us, our whole coalition, that we remind people that driving may not always be the only option to get around, and that by being proactive and exploring new options, you can achieve mobility independence. True mobility independence means not having to rely on a car. It means having options. If we want people to be able to safely transition from driving, then we need to make sure that we have a variety of viable transportation options beyond a personal vehicle that provides safe access to the places that they need and want to go. I think it's important too, we just don't want the place that they want to go, not just the doctor's appointments and the things that they have to do for medical, but where does he want to, where do you just want to go? You know, it's not the need, but the want. I think that's just so important to us all. All right, so now using a rating scale, we would love to see you respond from strongly agree to strongly disagree. How do you feel about driving and your mobility independence?
Yes, and this is I swear when Slido's not asking you to rate them, we realized there wasn't anything other than the star apps, but so 1 being you strongly agree that driving is central to that mobility independence, and 5 being you strongly disagree so that you can get around with or without a vehicle. Kind of answering that question we asked a little bit earlier, but in a little more centralizing it with other types of transportation as well. And, you know, the reality is most people do feel that it's central to their mobility independence. So how can we kind of change that perception that, you know, sometimes when it's the only way you get around, you're actually a little more limited, not only just with age related changes, but, you know, like Gail talks about, your car battery can die. If you don't have that backup plan, you're stuck for those needs and wants. So,
Yep. And I think we can all relate to that feeling when you
yeah.
get in your car and it doesn't start.
Yeah, it took actively, you know, creating that plan for me to even have viable options beyond the driver and beyond just asking somebody to give me a ride. So it doesn't come naturally. So for some of us, especially in this car centric world we've been living in for about 100 years now. So all right. That's
Awesome. Good
skewed. That's
responses.
skewed quite a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting. All right, so I mentioned earlier that evaluation is a key activity to our program management and evaluation focus area team. Last year, we started pulling together an annual report to help us measure and report on our activities to be more accountable. And I'm happy to say that we have released this year's annual report and that you can access it using that QR code there on the screen. And that way you can see more about what everybody is doing. So it's really interesting because it actually includes one of the big changes we did this year is worth mentioning. We actually started making the report run through a federal fiscal year, and that's because we work off of a safety grant. And it was just a lot easier to keep everything contained instead of using the state calendar. And then it also contains a lot of fast facts. You can see a lot of our milestones. But then it's also, you really get a little bit more information on a lot of the things that the teams have been doing. It's broken down by each of the teams. You could see all those great things that they're working on, and also what's coming up for the next year. So yeah, so check it out. There's a lot there to talk about. All right, so data is critical to the Safe Mobility for Life Coalition. It drives our decisions, helps us focus on the most pressing issues, and tells us if we are making progress in saving lives as we implement our plan. And so what we're going to do now, one of the things our data team has been working on with the support of the coalition is to have our data more accessible. And this new dashboard addresses that need. Every year we use a snapshot from the Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicle data of crash data for all public roads for all known ages. And this data allows us to establish priority counties, visualize trends for different age segments to our target audience, and dig down deeper in our analysis to assist in decision making. So Steph is giving you a little live demo and showing some of the details that are available, such as you can break down and look at by each DOT district. But then if you're not familiar what our DOT districts are, you can look at it from each county. And then also it does a really good breakdown of whether it's driver, passenger, non-motorist, person type, and gender. and, you know, really just kind of gives you that little snapshot so you could kind of see it. One of the things we love about this is because we do this every year, but this is great data when you're doing a presentation in a county or a community. You can actually pull the data so you're talking to people, and this is you. This isn't just the statewide snapshot. This is what's happening. So we thought we'd show you just a little sample. So Steph, if you click on all, put maybe Sumter County up there. I know we got somebody from the Villages, so we'll do Sumter County. And then we're going to select a driver. And let's do all age groups, and then fatality, and then passenger car. That way you could even do, if it's something different, I know we, you know, just different modes, and then a male. So it's just so you could see how you can kind of play with it a little bit, and then just make it work. I think this is something our teams have found useful, especially seeing how it's related to each by age group, and, you know, really trying to get that full picture of what's going on in the state and in the community. So we hope you spend some time checking out the dashboard. You can access it on that QR code as well, and the link on the bottom. And hope you find it useful, and we'd love for some feedback too. All right, so eTraffic, Steph is actually showing you eTraffic, which is a GIS-based mapping tool developed in our traffic engineering and operations office, and is another way for us to visualize aging road user data to help with decision making. Again, Steph's going to help me by demonstrating this live, and she's clicking on some of the areas like our priority counties. We have it listed between rural and urban. You can also see, you know, then we can look on and we could turn on what the fatal crashes are per 100,000 licensed drivers. We can go ahead and look at some of those. You know, we have priority intersections. You know, we have them for both non-motorist and motorists, but we're just going to click on the regular crashes. And then this is other features too. You know, again, we're going beyond data we use goes beyond just, you know, statistical data. We also wanted to add in ARP's Florida Age-Friendly Network. We have a listing of those, as well as all of our community partners. And these we committed to updating them. We update them monthly, so that at the end of the month, we just really get a good idea of you know, what's out there. And then we also did something different. We added in where all the transit locations are for both rural and urban areas. So this again can help some of our other teams like mobility independence. So you can kind of see what the data is showing you, and then be able to make some of those decisions. So again, this is a tool that's available on our engineer and planner page. And I think so if somebody could we'll put the link up in the chat box, and I know you had it in your meeting packets, but it's a great resource. And again, I hope you check it out. All right,
There's
so
a question about what our priority counties are, Gail, and just to answer that while we're on the slide, priority counties are, you know, the counties that we look at, both urban and rural, that address both population and licensed drivers with high crashes. So every year we kind of look at where does our focus need to go to help reduce those crashes that are having a, you know, disproportionate number of crashes to the number of people that are over 65.
yes, and on our data page, that the link is where you can find the dashboard. We give a really good explanation and have some even good frequently asked questions to help answer that even more. All right, so before I turn it over to Steph, we were just kind of curious, you know, while we're looking at data, if you had any other specific aging road user data or data that would meet your needs to address the transportation challenges of older adults in your communities or your areas.
Yeah, and that could be something you just saw that we already provide, or anything new that we might not be already sharing with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I know sometimes people do apply for funding that might be where they want to use some data. So just kind of curious about that.
That is interesting on some of those roadway countermeasures, what data we can grab on those. You know, they're always promoted, but
Seatbelt data.
how's the
Universal
usage?
Use of
And I know this is going to be a
cameras.
strange word cloud because we're not going to all write it the same way, but
You know, Steph
Had to
loves
have
a
a
word
cloud.
cloud.
I love a good word cloud.
She's got to get a word cloud in one of them.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is good.
The types of crashes. We go into a little bit about that. If you do note, sometimes there are details available in those crash reports, that there is an option that if you hover over the actual crash, it'll have a description. Sometimes when there is a description available in the crash data, it is applied there. I noticed that.
Okay. Available
Mhm.
resources, more data on that.
Use
Okay.
of roundabouts is great because that is one of those countermeasures that a lot of are not people's favorite. A personal
it.
favorite of mine, but not always our road users, other road users.
It's funny.
Yes, street lighting, universal design is a great one because that goes, a lot of people think that's just building homes. There's so much universal design covers where that's kind of where that age-friendly community comes into place. Are they, utilizing those universal design features?
Love it.
Community retirement communities. Yeah, knowing that we do have a new one where we're looking at golf cart communities. That's a new layer that was added
Yeah.
to help us know where those resources need to go.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't point that out. That's a really cool one. Yeah, especially when we go to distribute the resources we have available.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is great. More data on automated vehicles.
And
That's
even if
got our
I move
attention.
on from this, we'll move on to this slide. I do hope you guys still feed us some of those,
Yeah. Pop things
information
up in the chat.
We definitely want to know. Kim had a quick question.
Yeah, talking about the golf cart communities. Well, how are you identifying those? And the reason I ask is I know the Vieira community down here in Brevard, they're not technically a golf cart. They advertise themselves that way to prospective buyers, but what they've done is they've taken multi-use paths and they've allocated them for golf cart use as well, which
Yeah.
has its negatives, but I didn't know how you were going to go about identifying those because we definitely have a lot of them here.
Yeah, we can share that process. We actually have a whole distribution plan that was we haven't even had a chance to finalize or look at it, to review it. It came through and right before older driver, but it's really interesting. We're using a lot of even the ones that have an ordinance, like local government has to have an ordinance. So we're trying to use it for that. So and definitely it's something we can follow up and share.
Yeah, that is
Vieira, because it has to have it. Yeah. So
okay,
yeah,
great.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll capture that and follow up later.
This is great.
Awesome.
This is why you add a word cloud.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I know
you
a few
convince
people
me each time. You
I
convince me
know.
each time.
I know you guys still have a few more typing in, but we're going to move on just for time. But feel free to, save some of these data points, throw them into the chat, bring them up at the end of our Q&A. We'll make sure we capture everybody's wishes. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. All right,
All
Steph,
right.
this is you.
So I'm up. So thank you, Gail, for that great background. We'd be remiss to not go over why we're here and how the coalition started, but we really want to get into some of where we're going with the coalition and how we are addressing the needs of our stakeholders, not just our aging road users. So as a community outreach and education team leader, it's really my goal to work directly with those stakeholders across the state and help provide those resources to achieve our common goals. So we're going to start with a little question. What are some of the transportation challenges faced by older adults in your area? So this can really range from the built environment, attitudes towards using other modes, and it's really going to differ from person to person on what they perceive to be the biggest barrier to the mobility independence, especially if you saw how many different hats people are wearing. So definitely want to hear, what are you guys experiencing in your communities that are preventing people from getting to the place they need and want to go, considering other modes? What are some of those challenges? And access is definitely one of the biggest, because if you go to our mission statement, it's safety, access, and mobility. You can't just say that there's options. You have to actually provide access to them.
And connecting different systems, like sidewalks are my thing, connecting them to, transit and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, availability. Yeah, people just not wanting to stop driving. They just cannot get that, central to their independence out of their mindset. And that is, one of the biggest barriers. And that's why we asked that question, is how central is it to your mobility independence. Yeah, finding out where all this information is, that's
Yeah.
like huge. And that's why we are here working with you
That's
guys
why
today,
we're
is how can we make it more accessible?
What is that one? A
Roundabouts are a challenge.
72-mile county.
Let's go. Let me scroll.
I saw that one.
72-mile long county.
Wow.
That
Counties
would
are
be,
too big.
yeah, that would be Brevard.
Yeah.
And
Ah, okay.
it creates a lot of challenges for people wanting to
Uh-huh.
get places.
Yeah.
That is interesting. I've never heard that one before. So
That's a
that's
long
worth
bus ride if you want to
investigating.
cross the county.
I'm seeing the livable community looking into that. Focusing on.
Yeah. I love that it does this. It combines those multiple answers, kind of like a
Mhm.
word cloud.
Yeah.
Too costly. Yeah. How can we be providing more discounted transportation options, especially for those with needs, age, even abilities, better facilities? I definitely wish our bus terminal was a little cleaner. I would probably
Narrow
sit there a
roads.
little longer. Yeah.
Narrow roads in the Northeast.
Yep. This is awesome. Thank you
Mhm.
guys.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, we're gonna let the one more participant get their answer in. We're gonna capture all of these. Uber and Lyft too. It is raised. The price of Uber and Lyft has definitely gotten more expensive since COVID, I've noticed. So, all right. Thank you all for participating.
Yes.
So,
Excellent.
our resources for stakeholders are really designed to help our professionals and advocates address those challenges that we just showed you. In the most effective and data-driven way. We always use that data-driven approach to everything we do. So this is the stakeholders that all deal with older adults, both directly or indirectly, which is why the challenges and solutions are so diverse. And that's why we have such a big hurdle for us to, meet the needs of older adults and achieve zero deaths. So a few of the resources we're going to be talking about today can help transportation providers, families and caregivers, engineers, planners, healthcare providers, law enforcement, and licensing personnel, very much in line with our stakeholder categories. I'm going to pop up. This is a dedicated resource pages for our stakeholders. So this is actually, if you go to our homepage and go to our resources for, you can see we have a page for dementia transportation and those other stakeholders that I mentioned, but we do plan on expanding, our resources for page. And this is specifically mostly for our stakeholders, but there's lots of great external resources too. And I have the healthcare provider resource page pulled up. I just wanted to share some of the things we've done. We've actually asked, practitioners and social service providers, what are some of the barriers to having conversations with older adults about safe driving concerns? And one of the answers was not access to enough educational resources. So to answer that, we created a toolkit to help practitioners and anybody really dealing with older adults directly in that conversation talk about driver safety with a toolkit. So this would actually mail them a package directly to their door or to their office, and they could have stuff in their waiting rooms to help facilitate that conversation. They could have mail-in request cards on hand to hand to an older adult that might be struggling with finding rides to their appointments. So making sure that they know that these resources are available to them. And then I was also going to pop over the most recently updated page, our engineers and planners page. Had a makeover recently. Not only is this where we house that e-traffic, the data page that we showed you that has all of those different filters that you can scroll through, but I wanted to also share our new countermeasures. So not only we're identifying these countermeasures that can help older adults stay safer, we wanted to go into some of the data on why they're doing that and what are some of those implementations. So flashing yellow arrows were designed to address taking left turns. We go into the descriptions and we also talk a little bit about how to utilize them safely. I saw a lot of roundabouts, a lot of concern about roundabouts. So we do talk about why are there safety benefits to utilizing roundabouts, but also how to educate on how people can safely utilize roundabouts. So we do have our digital graphics, we do have tip cards, and you can actually access those directly on this page as well. So definitely check out QR code, or if you go to our homepage, that new engineers planners page really looks great. It's really comprehensive, and really want to hear how you like it.
Yeah, definitely.
Next, we're going to talk about some of our toolkits. I did just mention the practitioner one, but our stakeholder toolkits are really curated with print and digital resources. So that would best suit your audience or your stakeholders. They come in the format, both print and digital, education materials, promotional products, when we can get them, like pins, flyers, and even some display boards. And then we also promote through our online channels or through mailers. So some of the examples I have here, and you might have recently received this Older Driver Safety Awareness Week one in your inbox. This is a digital toolkit that shows you where our social media messaging for the week are going to be going on. Some digital graphics to help for you promoting and celebrating Older Driver Safety Awareness Week. We also, the prevention and assessment team, created this mailer. It's an actual postage paid postcard that we send to about 1,300 medical providers across the state. And it just allowed them to fill out their contact information and drop it in the mail. And we mailed them this toolkit right here, actually. And so these are great things for them to have in their waiting room. These display boards allow people to go ahead and order the guide directly to them and learn a little bit more about the keys. And then we played this rectangular rapid flashing beacon video. These might be seen in your tax collector's offices or your licensing personnel offices. They're great. They have no audio, so but we also have them in both formats. We have them in many formats too, and they're also great for having at the fuel pumps. So in the Turnpike office, we've often had some of these videos playing because people are captured during that moment. So how can we quickly educate them on some roadway countermeasures? And then I know my favorite resource is our resource center page that's housed here at the FSU Pepper Institute on Aging and Public Policy. This is where you guys can order any and all of those resources. So if you're interested in a toolkit and letting us kind of be in charge of what you think you might need, you can do that. But if you know what you need, you can come right here and you actually can see an example of all of these resources. You can download and look at the PDFs right from this website. You can also see who the audience is. I did see somebody ask about how to have a conversation with a loved one about safe driving skills. We actually have a whole tip card and a whole web page dedicated to that topic. So how can we help facilitate those conversations? You can order the tip card or visit that resources for page. And then we also have them categorized from roadway safety to using other modes and even our digital graphics. So bookmark that page. Really signing our community partner agreement allows you to have kind of that firsthand knowledge of when these resources are available. You can also order in bulk, anything over 25. You can have as many as you want. Help us clear our storage, please, and making sure it gets to the people that need it most. And those exclusive display boards, you have to be a community partner to get one of those. So those are great for waiting areas, sharing them in public spaces. And then, there's so much that happens around the year. We can't just keep adding to our website. So we wanted to also have a place where we can share new and fun and exciting things going on throughout the year. So we developed our quarterly newsletter, both print and digitally, to kind of highlight some of those things. So this also goes into roadway improvements. We have really great visuals on how to safely access them. So this most recent edition that just came out this week is on practicing safety in parking lots. We also feature some of our community partners. We have a few with us today. Kim Smith has been featured. We'll talk a little bit about that later. And this most recent one talks about I'll go into the next slide so I can actually show you. We had a partnership with Best Foot Forward recently, and that was just a great way to kind of highlight some of the ways we're working together. So this most recent edition is out digitally. The print should be in your mailbox in the coming weeks, but you can access it online. I put the links on how to access this directly. Sorry for those. And we did our first ever crossword puzzle. I was excited about that. So you definitely need the print edition if you want to complete that one correctly. So make sure you're signed up. These are really great, and you can have these in your waiting rooms as well. So next, I'm going to turn over to Gail just for a little bit, just to talk about some of her passion projects. These are a few resources that we developed in partnership with some of our collaboration with our coalition member organizations.
Yes, thanks, Steph. So the first one actually that I wanted to take some time is an educational material that we just released. It's actually an update of something that we developed years ago. It was a transportation checklist on how do you find a community that meets your transportation needs. And so for this update, though, we actually partnered with AARP and their age-friendly network or AARP Florida to update it. And so it is just it's just amazing. We did a lot. We learned a lot with the newsletter. We kind of applied it here, especially with the graphics, just even kind of educating on what even a livable community is or what age friendly means. So the thing about this checklist that's so important is it starts out where we actually ask you, whoever's filling it out, to really identify what's important to you, your personal mobility needs for you to remain active from your perspective. And then you go in and then you answer statements, whether it's very true, you're unsure, or not true, in 4 categories: and community design, getting around, street safety and security, and network support services. And then what we've done too is we've added in resources for each of them. So if you're unsure and you don't even know, you want more information about it, we've listed resources in there as well. So you can actually access the checklist at that QR code at the top. And we would encourage you to fill it out. What I love about it too is by the time, if you take the one on interactive, you're going to fill it out for your community, but you're going to put your zip code in there and it's going to automatically calculate what your answers are. So at the end, you're going to get a really good snapshot of whether your mobility needs can be met in that community and get you to start thinking and then even advocating for change. So this was the first time we released a resource online first, but we are now working on making it available as a print version. And what it is, it'll be up on the Resource Center site. So the next one is actually a collaboration that we've done with the University of Florida, Department of Occupational Therapy. And we help them and we support and promote Find a Ride Florida website. And I know we had some questions that came in during registration on how do I find what transportation is available, and Find a Ride Florida is it. It is a database of available transportation options in all 67 counties in Florida. And it really allows an individual, family member, even service providers, doctor's offices, you can enter in a starting point and destination, and then find what those options are available to help you make the best decisions on what transportation will work for you. The site averages between 1,200 and 1,500 users a month, primarily in Florida, but it's also interesting that we do have access for caregivers or family members that might live in another state. They can always access it as well to see if their family member lives in Florida. So if you're looking for transportation, or if you hear about people wanting transportation, Florida, findarideflorida.org should be your first stop. We also have educational materials such as the tip cards, which actually promotes even a 1-800 number that you can talk to somebody. We also have brief videos on our YouTube page where you can learn more on how to use it, personally how to use it, and then also how other people, you can use it to help others. So we've got 2 really good videos there. And I will like to do a shameless plug that while visiting our YouTube page, please don't forget to subscribe so you can have access to the latest videos when they're posted, because we do want to use more of those. So we encourage you to check it out.
Yes, thank you. And then I was going to note one other question we had was on door-to-door services. So people that actually have issue entering the buses.
Paratransit.
Every county has a community transportation coordinator that's for the transportation disadvantaged. So you can actually find out, they're always listed at the top. We always make sure that those public resources are on the top of the Find a Ride page. So you can learn more about them on the website, and there's a lot of information on what they provide.
They have their special little box right at the top.
Yes. So we're going to talk about one of my personal favorite ways that we educate is to actually get out there in the communities and working with older adults directly. So we currently offer 4 different types of education. These are done both virtually and in person. Of course, we had to adapt over the last couple of years, but we are excited to be getting back out there. But you know your community's best. So that's why it's always great to educate you on what workshops are available and really tailor the education to your audience. So first is the keys to achieve safe mobility for life. This covers those 3 keys that we outlined earlier in the presentation and in our Florida's Guide to Safe Mobility for Life. And it lays kind of that foundation to what it means to be safe and mobile for life. The Safe Walking for Life workshop, developed in collaboration with Alert Today Florida, it teaches those benefits and risks of walking actually as a mode of transportation and how to mitigate some of those risks so that you can increase your safety. And then my personal favorite, the Safe Transit for Life workshop. This was developed in partnership with the Florida Public Transportation Association, and it's used to educate and increase the use of public transit among older adults. So we talked about that access. A lot of times it's just the fear of the unknown. And we actually include a trip to a local area with a real time riding experience. And then lastly, Car Fit, that is a community-based educational program that promotes continued safety, safe driving and mobility among older adults. And it really focuses on attention on the safety, comfort, and fit in their personal vehicles. So this is a parking lot activity. It's the photo up there. It's free, it's fun, it's fast, and it only takes about 20 to 30 minutes per older adult. So it's really a great way to making sure that they're driving away, feeling confident and feeling safe in their vehicle. And there's also some training opportunities available with Car Fit. We actually offer both the technician training, that's a half-day training, and they go through a Car Fit event safely, reviewing a 12-point checklist. And then there's also the event coordinator, where you can actually bring Car Fit to your community and host these local events whenever they're needed. So I'm going to go ahead and let you know how to find those. For a listing of all the existing events, you can go to car-fit.org or contact our statewide Car Fit instructor, Megan Case. She is actually going to be conducting some of these regional coordinator trainings around the state. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But definitely make sure you jot her contact information down. She is our statewide Car Fit instructor. She and Fran Carlin Rogers are actively trying to get this event back up and running and in person. And also helping at-risk customers. It's really why most of us are here. Safe Mobility for Life is really based all of their education on some of those human factor research, really learning how people like to learn. So our training materials are designed directly for the intended user, like law enforcement, licensing personnel, community transportation coordinators. I've got some examples up here of our law enforcement visor card. So this is how law enforcement in the field, they use these visor cards to identify, potential at-risk drivers. And we list some of those indicators that our prevention and assessment team helped develop and what they can be doing there on the spot, contacting family and friends, referring them to findarideflorida.org to find another ride, or actually reporting the unsafe driver, really making it quick and easy for them to respond right there. We also recently released a licensing personnel training on their iLearn services. So we are utilizing our, our focus teams of prevention assessment, working with licensing enforcement to create these trainings and implementing them where they belong. So this will be available. It's a 12-minute video, I believe, and this is a little promotional. I won't share it with you because it's too loud, but it's on our YouTube channel. So like and subscribe. All right, so now that we talked about what are the challenges you guys face, how are we trying to help you, face those challenges? What are some of your suggested solutions to transportation challenges? What are some of the things that you found that work in your community? How can we be aligning our our resources and our tools to keep this message going, to keep, improving and getting to that target zero? Yes, and we are so happy to be going back in person. It's been a long time coming, and so we definitely want to get those communities to reach out. Yes, advocacy is a huge part. This community outreach and education used to be the advocacy team, but really we're relying on a lot of our community partners to help facilitate some of that advocacy. Medical screenings for driver's license. We definitely work with those partners on how they can be more aware on identifying at-risk drivers. All right, more transition stops. Yes, I know it's like sometimes it takes going around the entire town just to get to a half a mile away. All right, so that's a great one, providing more materials for sharing on social media. If you go to our resource center page, you can see a lot of the digital content that we do have available, but we're always trying to create more. And if you follow, subscribe to any of our channels, we do have very robust campaigns that go on each month that focus on our educational calendar. So right now we're in Working Together month. January is Driver Safety Month. So definitely stay tuned and see what we're sharing. And we try to reshare some of our partners as well. Yes, these materials are excellent companions to ARP driver safety courses. We have a lot of driver safety instructors that request them regularly. We try to make it very simple with those mail-in request cards. So really, however, it's easier for you to have materials on hand. Great. Younger groups. All right. Yeah, this is one of those things, is that multi-generational education is how can we be helping all road users really understanding the struggles that each other are having.
These are all great. Continue to put them
Yes.
in the chat so we can.
Yeah, we'll move
I
on.
know
We
you
are
wanna
tight on
get-
time.
Yep.
But I'm going to go through the next couple kind of quickly because it's more of a shameless plug, but we got to do it. Our community partner program. So primarily this webinar was developed as an opportunity to bring us all together. And so we've done that. We want to hear from you. So we're just going to go over a little bit of the benefits of becoming a community partner. If you're not one already, it's really designed as a grassroots efforts to really help provide those access to those resources to the people that need them most. So we really want to build those relationships. You know, it's mutually beneficial for us to have you guys talking to your community. We want to connect those partners, those tools, those things that we've gone over that you guys just provided to us, and then really engage and educate older adults at the local level through workshops, events, any way that we can reach more older adults, the better. I have our webpage pulled up. Community Partner has its own dedicated webpage where you can watch our newest training video that I'm very excited was launched earlier in the fall. This is a 12-minute training video, and it's really helping you understand your role as a community partner. And I definitely, I know we go over a lot of it in this webinar, but it's really worth a watch. You kind of learn how we approach education in this positive approach. It really helps older adults, you know, turn their ears on and listen to the subject. We go over those keys, how to access resources, and I'll go over that the next slide too. So getting those educational resources really into the hands of those who need it most is why we're here. So ways that you could participate are distributing those materials when you have events or at your local offices. Sharing on or attending events is really a big one. We can't be everywhere, but we know that there's lots of local things going on around the state. How can we have our resources available at them? We can staff tables as well. Hosting our workshops is a great tool for us to get that information out there, and then sharing that information both online and in public spaces is a really great resource that we need from our community partners. And then I did promise we would go over this community partner or this CARFIT training. We will be hosting a regional CARFIT training in City of St. Cloud. That's going to happen January 24th to 25th. So moving forward, we're going to be taking this regional approach to CARFIT. So we're going to be hosting them in districts and on the county level to build our network of volunteers. So if you are in the St. Cloud area, the Osceola County area, feel free to reach out to Megan. We had our information. We'll make sure we provide your information, but we do plan on extending these all over the state. You won't, if you miss this one, you will not miss out on your last opportunity. These are a great way. They offer the technician and event coordinator trainings, and they also have an in-person CARFIT event in the parking lot, and hopefully do some kind of a fun vendor thing going on inside. So to allow us time for the last question, really wanting to know from you, what's your preferred method of receiving resources? I might kind of skip this one because I'm a little more excited about our community partner spotlight, who I will let Gail introduce really quickly. While she's introducing you, feel free to type in what your answers are.
Yeah, so it's one thing to hear from us, but we thought it would be helpful for you to hear from Kim Smith, who was one of the first to join our community partner program in 2019. Kim is the Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization Education and Safety Coordinator, and is also involved in their Vision Zero program. I say she is now, but for the next week. Kim, welcome, and we'd love for you to share just a little bit with our audience on the community partner program from your perspective.
Great. And thanks for asking me to be here. You know, like the slide says here, partnerships is what it's all about. And it's no exception with the Safe Mobility for Life. I have been in this position for 23 years, and we do community traffic safety outreach. And I think I've learned about safe mobility from the get-go. I've been affiliated with the Alert Today Coalition. And so just naturally, when you're in traffic safety, you hear about it. And of course, Brevard County, we have a large population of aging road users. So it was just something I was interested in learning more about. And why is traffic safety important? Traffic safety affects everybody. You know, everybody has to get around somehow. And so it's important. Over the years, I've talked to people that have have lost folks or have had serious injuries in traffic crashes, and it's just not right that just going to the grocery store or something, that you have to have this fear of not being able to get there and get back safely. So we have to work on building an equitable system that works for everybody. And that includes our aging road users, and that's why safe mobility is such an important part of this. Brevard County is a Vision Zero county. We have all of our counties that have adopted the goal of zero by resolution, except for one, and it's on their agenda. They're going to be adopting in the next couple of weeks. So we will have every single county in Brevard County that has adopted that. And this is going to, it's a crucial part of it. What do I think the benefits of being a community partner are? Having your resources certainly enables us to expand what we do. We're a small staff, everybody's limited by finances. So when you have a coalition such as Safe Mobility for Life that can provide people, can provide resources, it helps. We can reach more people, we can do more stuff. I saw somebody say, what is Vision Zero? Can I go ahead and answer that? Vision Zero is the idea that it's more than an idea. We know that all traffic crashes, serious injury, and fatal traffic crashes are preventable, and the only acceptable number is zero. It's a lofty goal, but one that we can attain. And I know that the state is committed to it, and as you heard, here in Brevard County as well. So some of the resources that we've used over the years, we helped pilot the first Safe Walking for Life workshop, which, we had a lot of folks there, and they were very encouraged to go back to their communities and give out that information. We just did our first car fit that was hosted by the TPO. I went to car fit training some years ago and just fell in love with that program. I said, that program needs to be in every car dealership, everywhere. People need to fit the car that they're driving. So we've done that. Of course, the resources, your printed materials and videos are just, they're beautiful. They're nice to look at, and there's so much great information. And when we take them out to our events, people love them, and they just, they suck them up and take them up. Hopefully they're reading them when they get home.
Hear that.
Yeah. Especially that booklet, the booklet, of course, people really love. And then of course your digital media, in this day and age, digital media is definitely a way of getting to folks. And we have a tremendous public involvement officer here, Abby Hemingway, and I know she shares your stuff, and we're able, it helps us promote your initiatives as well. So yeah, like I said, you can't do everything that you need to do without the partnership stuff such as Safe Mobility. So
yeah, that's so great to hear. I know.
We didn't even know what you were going to say.
And
just asked a question.
And that's actually exactly why we created the community partner program, because we can't be everywhere and do everything, but we can develop these resources and materials. So Kim just summarized, the entire reason for the partnership is for you guys to have access to these resources and us to have a way to get them out. So we really appreciate you sharing that experience today and being a valued. She attended our very first pilot training of this, at the start of COVID, and has been an invaluable partner for us.
Right.
Thank you. Well,
thank you, Kim.
We appreciate what you do as well, and I know the TPO will continue to partner with Safe Mobility.
I'm excited about that. So I know we're over, but this is being recorded as well. If you do have to hop off, we understand, but we really would like to take this
Only
to
got
the end.
2 slides left.
So we really know that to achieve zero deaths, we need to work at the national, state, regional, and local levels. And that's why working together is so important to us. And so we always like to end this with some clear action that you could do. So here's some ways that you can help. Again, become a community partner and help educate Floridians about the importance of achieving safe mobility independence. Order and distribute the educational materials from our resource center to share with your customers and post in the community. Take a look at your organization's goals or strategic plan and think about how we can align resources and work together to make a difference. We'd love to, again, that's why we ask, what do you guys do, or what are you doing, and how can we align? Sign up for the newsletter and the listserv to stay up to date with the latest information. It's really, and then you'll have first access to all the resources as they are available. And then spread the word, engage with us on our social media. I know we do have, and if I'm not sure if we posted it, but if we can put the older driver toolkit up in the chat, that would be great, so that people can actually access a lot of the social media posts and graphics that are available to help and follow along with us on all of the platforms. And then lastly, we don't ask older adults to do anything that we aren't willing to do ourselves. We made that commitment years ago. So we ask that you challenge yourself to explore other options and run maybe one errand a week or a month without your personal vehicle. It's a really good, it gets you really thinking whether you can do it or not. So, and then it can help with making some change.
Right. We
All
have one
right.
more question. And obviously this is our Q&A as well. So feel free to answer the question on the screen on any ways you intend to participate, answer as many as you want, or feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, however you want to engage right now. We went a little, 5 minutes over time is not too bad though. We had a lot to share, and we were able to answer some questions on the spot, which is always better than saving them. Or you forgot about them already.
Yes. Yeah. And Katie put the toolkit up there. So thank you, Katie.
Yes.
And then Barbara Dupont had a really good question that recommending the UF's fitness to drive screening measure. Yes, we do. With that partnership of UF, we do have that opportunity to share and promote that resource as well.
You guys are doing as well, so that we can promote those, like the fitness to drive. Those tools are just as valuable for us as well. And yes, we often, if you go to our older driver safety awareness week toolkit that was popped in, you can kind of see that the text messages and which graphics we usually try to say, you know, this goes with the banner, this will go well with our guide. And we also, you know, promote them both in English and in Spanish. So you should be able to see that on our toolkit. And when we do these kind of robust campaigns, we'll always pair them with the graphics.
Exactly.
But
Yeah,
we are going to do this every year. I want everybody to know. This is, we will go over a lot of resources, but we're going to make it more and more engaging. We want to hear from you. This is our annual time for partners to get together and hear what's new, what you're doing. We hope to turn the spotlight over to you guys more and more as our partnership grows.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well,
Yay.
if there's no other questions, we're just going to let you go to lunch.
Driver safety
Thank you,
courses
and
are-
hope to see you again next year.